Am I the asshole for telling my wife I'm moving? It is up to her if she is coming with me or not. My wife and I have been married for 6 years and have 2 kids under 5. We live on the East Coast in a 2-bedroom small house. Cost of living here is insane. My parents moved down south a few years ago. My mother called me up a few weeks ago to tell me about a home in their community that is up for sale. They are good friends with the owner and can get us a good deal for the house. To me, this sounds amazing. Everything there is cheaper and we will have more space and more bedrooms for our kids. I work from home, so I talk to work and I would be able to keep my job no problem. My wife would need to leave hers, but I could cover us until she finds a new one. I contacted a real estate agent to get an estimate on how much we can get for our house here, and it's a good amount and would make the move easy. Once I had everything worked out and I was sure it was a good idea, I brought it up to my wife. She was totally against it immediately. She doesn't want to leave her job, she doesn't want to move the kids away from her family, and she does not want to leave her friends. I explained to her that when she puts her selfish reasons aside, this was a great opportunity for our kids. We will have more money and more space, a big backyard, and we will be close to my parents, so our kids won't be without family. She said no, there was no chance. Her life is here and has been her entire life, and she has no intentions to change that. I was pissed and slept on the couch that night. I spent all night thinking about it and came to the decision that if she doesn't want to do the right thing by our kids, I will. I laid it out for her. It was up to her if she wanted to move, but I had made the decision to move. She could either come with me or we could divorce. We could sell the house, split it, and I will use my half for my new home down south, and she can do whatever she can with her half up here. Probably would have to rent. We would also have to work out custody of our kids. I told her she has a month to make the decision, but I was going to start the process and get all of my business in order. She told me I was being crazy and has only been speaking to me about the kids for the last week. I have been in contact with the seller of the new house and I am setting things in motion. My parents told me I'm doing the right thing and I'm looking out for my kids. I ran it by my friend who told me I'm being an asshole for expecting my wife to change her entire life. But this is what is best for our kids. And I think she needs to grow up, stop being selfish, and think of our kids. Am I the asshole for being upset after my girlfriend called me high maintenance? Girlfriend, female 26, and I, male 24, have been together for 4 years, and we moved in together officially 6 months ago. We rented a new and more spacious apartment together. We split rent and most of the expenses, according to our wages. We both work. I have a full-time job and she works part-time. I'll answer more questions if needed. I'm a terrible cook. I don't like it at all, and every time I try to cook something, it tastes awful. So my girlfriend cooks most of our meals. To be honest, also, I don't do many of the household chores. It's not that I want my girlfriend to do everything on her own, but I was living with my mom before moving out, and she used to do everything. I do other stuff, and I do chores when asked. This is a small issue between us, but not as big. Yesterday, I came back from work around 8, and my girlfriend was cooking for us. We had dinner and then she was washing the dishes. We were chatting while she cleaned. Then I went to hug her while she was putting everything on place, the seasonings and that kind of stuff. By this time, it was like an hour later. I was trying to hug her and kiss her, but she was like, "Leave me alone a sec," and moving away. She wasn't angry, she was just busy. Then I let her go and tell her something like, quote, "Why are you so cold?" in a whiny voice. I was trying to be funny. She then snapped, quote, "Why are you so high maintenance?" I was kind of shocked by her tone. I thought she was joking, and I said, "You're for real?" And she said, "Yeah. I love you, but you're high maintenance. Sometimes I can't with you." Then I got upset and I told her I'll leave her alone and left to the bedroom. Around maybe 15 minutes later, she comes in and was trying to talk to me, but I was kind of ignoring her and giving her short answers because I didn't want to talk to her. She asked me what was going on and I told her that we were joking around until she started saying stuff that hurt. She then went off on me. She told me I never help, or if I do, she has to tell me what to do. She says she feels like she's my mom sometimes. We argued and now we're in a tight spot.
My fiance left me alone in the woods. I have been with my fiance for 6 years. I am 26 and he is 32. He has always had a short temper and often picks arguments over small things, but he's so very kind. Every other time that I have looked past it and maybe hoped to help him chill out, he's funny and I really do love him. I do my best to avoid arguments, but sometimes it's impossible. I remember feeling so happy and content because we hadn't argued in several days and he had been in a good mood. We began to leave and started heading home, still in good spirits. The beach was located in a remote area, and neither of us had good cell phone signal to use GPS to leave. He began to yell and take his anger out on the steering wheel, and I instantly felt defensive. Like every happy moment of the day was crumbling right there, because usually once his behavior starts, the day is ruined. I made the mistake of yelling back at him and that he needs to chill out, quit making everything such a huge deal. I regret this, but I just felt so overwhelmed. I just wanted the good vibes to continue, you know? We argued back and forth for a few moments before he angrily pulled the truck to a small paved parking lot where people usually stop to rest or grill food. He screamed at me to get out, and like an idiot, I did, and he left me there. I sat in the bush and cried for a few minutes before a man approached me and started asking kind of uncomfortable questions about where I was from, who I was with, why we were there. I tried to be friendly in the hopes my fiance would return soon, but the stranger started touching my hands and offered me a ride home, and it made me scared, so I lied and said I had to go meet my boyfriend at a spot nearby and walked down the road quickly. I made it about a quarter of a mile away before I sat by a little pond where some people were fishing. I had no cell phone signal to call anyone to get me, and I was scared to ask for help, so I just sat there and tried not to panic for almost 3 hours. I was alone the majority of the time, as when I arrived, the only people around were people packed and ready to leave. From 4 to 6:30 p.m., I was left alone in the forest until I was able to find cell phone service after wandering for a bit and called my fiance's mom to come get me. It is now almost 8 p.m. and I am extremely sunburned and thirsty, but I finally walked far enough to get signal to call his mom for help. I haven't spoken to him yet, but he has sent several messages basically just asking where I was and complaining that I had his wallet in my purse. I'm still waiting for my ride to get here, still very lost and upset. I feel so hurt and betrayed, and as if this was a huge overreaction on his end, but I do love him, and if it's my fault, I want to know. It was such a scary experience, which is why I feel it was too much. I am currently safe and staying the night with my mom. After my fiance and his mom finally found me after a stranger noticed me on the side of the road and drove me around the park for 15 minutes looking for them, they both started in at me that this was all my fault because I should have just refused to get out of the car to begin with. I realize that is what logic would tell you to do, but it's hard to be logical when you are upset, tipsy, and being screamed at. He also claimed that he looked for me for almost 2 hours before leaving to rally help and looking. His mom swears up and down he's telling the truth too, but I don't believe it. I sat in the spot he left me for at least 30 minutes before I was scared off by a stranger, and then I sat in a very visible, heavily trafficked area next to a creek that was maybe a quarter mile from where I started with no visual barriers whatsoever. I never saw or heard him drive by once. I remember listening closely for him because his truck is loud and I would have heard it coming. I can see now that he has put me in grave danger. He has still not apologized, but I don't expect him to because he thinks he is in the right in this. I'm going to try and remove him from my life and spend some time alone. I will admit that in my quest for love and closeness, I have let him and other men treat me less than great just to keep them around. Thank you all again for helping me understand what a doormat I've been. I'm trying to force this man to love me when I have forgotten to love myself. Am I wrong for asking that my husband not share pictures of us? Friday night, my husband, 28 male, and I, 26 female, went to a nice dinner hosted by my husband's company. The dinner was mainly to celebrate the great year he and his team had, so he was basically the center of attention. I purchased a new white dress for the night. When I put it on before we left, my husband told me that the dress was practically see-through and left nothing to the imagination. I looked in the mirror and he seemed to be exaggerating, so I told him that it wasn't nearly as noticeable as he was making it out to be. You could sort of see the outlines of my bra, but everyone wears underwear, and unless someone was deliberately looking, it wasn't an issue. We went back and forth for a bit. I didn't have any other dresses that fit me, as I recently gained a bit of weight and haven't had a need to dress formal. He said he'd rather me dress more casual than wear that. After a bit of back and forth, he gave in and I wore it. We went to the dinner. I got to meet a lot of his coworkers and bosses. It was lovely. Afterwards, he wanted to make a post on social media about the night and asked me to choose which pictures to include. I saw the pictures of me and my jaw dropped. The flash on the camera and lighting in general made my outfit way more revealing than it looked in the mirror at home. You can see every roll, every freckle. It leaves almost nothing to the imagination. I was completely embarrassed and told my husband not to post them. He told me that he has no pictures of him without me, so there's not really much he could post from the night. I asked him to Photoshop my outfit a bit to make the dress less revealing, and he said that he doesn't know how to do that. After an argument, I won and he agreed not to make the post, but he said he still wants to send some to his parents directly. And I'm sorry, but none of them look flattering. They make me almost look naked. He said since his coworkers and bosses saw me like that, he should at least be able to show his parents as well. I feel like since my husband agreed that the dress was too revealing, he should be understanding that I don't want him sharing pictures of it with the family. His coworkers and bosses are one thing. I never have to see them again, but family is family. He thinks that I'm not being fair. In his words, I insisted on wearing the dress, and now I'm preventing his family from seeing pictures because of it. It's now Sunday morning, and he's still not giving in. I want to just forget about the whole thing and move on. He seems to really want to share pictures of the night. I'm not sure what to do, whether I should give up and tell him to send it anyway to put it behind us, or whether I should stand up for myself. So, am I the asshole for asking him not to share pictures of us?